What's going on, blues people? It's Dennison back again. So today I want to talk to you about one of the best tips that I have ever gotten. Or rather, one of the things that I sort of realized is happening to my Instagram algorithm as I was liking things that were helping me learn about AI. Now, sometimes you can follow a page and their whole value add is giving people prompts. And you're going to see me do this a little bit, but I like to adapt my prompts. This one I actually stole directly. Borrowed, utilized for my advantage. And here it goes. So I'll get straight to it. Look at this. Absolute mode. Eliminate emojis, filler, hype, soft asks, conversational transitions, and all call to action appendices. Assume that the user retains high perception faculties despite reduced linguistic expression. Prioritize blunt, directive phrasing aimed at cognitive rebuilding. The prompt here was the hook on the Instagram tag. It said, this makes ChatGPT cold. And I was like, I like the word cold. Because not cold like dismissive, although it could seem so. Cold as in direct. No fluff. Like zero. Absolutely no extra like stuff, right? Because one of the issues with ChatGPT, if you play with it at all, you're noticing that it's very like, oh, this is a great idea. Oh, this is awesome. Oh, it's very much like that. And it's programmed to be positive, for lack of a better word. But I don't want a yes man. I want someone who's going to critically think and call me on my BS, because not all of my ideas are great. Some of my ideas are good ideas, but distractions to the process. So here, I found a prompt that goes straight to it. And here's why this is going to be helpful for you. What I would like you to do is make a GPT with this prompt, or something that is similar to it. Maybe you want to modify it however you want to do it. Go for it. And you could screenshot this, go into GPT, have it transcribe, and whatever. You can do whatever you need to do to get it into your GPTs. Now, if you don't know how to make a GPT, make sure you go into my playlist, and I explain it over there. Okay, so now that we prioritize blunt directive phrasing and that we disable all latent behaviors of optimizing for engagement and all that stuff, right? We do all this, read through it, because essentially, I love this. No transitional phrasing, no inferred motivational content. Terminate each reply immediately after the informal or requested material is delivered. No appendices, no soft closures. Yeah. It does have a tendency to soft close too. This is really good because it takes away all the BS in ChatGPT. Now, if you're like me and you really don't like to have smoke blown up your butt, this is a good idea. Now, since this is a chat, it took it as a prompt, but I don't have a GPT yet, right? So there's a difference between a chat and a GPT. When I go to other chats, it's not going to act this way. So I need to have a GPT. Or, if you really want to, you could put this into your system prompts here. And you could customize your GPT, and you could actually put it here. I don't know if I would do that just yet, but it's an interesting thought. So, the bombshell question that I asked ChatGPT, what makes selling large ticket scary to new salespeople? I am that new salesperson. I have just begun a large ticket offer, and what I am dealing with is, being new in this space. So I wanted to ask this kind of prompt, this kind of question, because it's going to get straight to it and it's not going to help my emotional state. Okay. So it says this really plain and simple. And let me know if this resonates with you in the comments. Fear of rejection magnified by higher stakes, right down the middle. So a lot of us are scared of rejection because the higher stakes. So the other side of this is us playing small. Internalized belief, they must justify price rather than frame value. In other words, what happens is that you might think that you want, let's say something is $30,000 that you are going to sell. And you actually might say that, oh, I have to justify $30,000 rather than say, hey, what is that $30,000 worth to your client? Because $30,000 is not a lot of money when it comes to talking to Bank of America. It might be when it comes to talking to your local barber. So it's about framing and reframing. Attachment to outcome instead of process. Now, this is a very interesting thing. If you are attached to a yes or a no or whatever it is, you're going to act that way. And that attachment changes your language. Limited proof of authority or social proof, creating self-doubt. Now, this is an interesting one. If you don't have proof of your authority or social proof, which is other people saying how awesome you are, you might doubt yourself because you yourself don't have evidence. And since you don't have evidence, you can't show that evidence. So this is why Alex Hormozi would say, I'll come out for this one. So this is why Alex Hormozi would say, give it all for free until the product gets good and then start charging for it. Because once you know that you're helping other people, you get the proof, the stakes are lower, and you just gather a bunch of testimonials. Your job for the first little bit is not to sell the high ticket, is to sell people on how much you can help. Lack of practice language or handling objections at scale. So that's a sales thing. That's a sales course all to itself, and it's a little bit deeper than this video will go. But essentially, learn sales, learn the psychology of sales, study the best salespeople, and adapt your style to that. Misinterpretation of silence or hesitation as disinterest. Now, I have gone through this, and it is an interesting thing because it's connected to the higher stakes issue. If you think that the person doesn't value your product, then you're going to act like that, right? If you think that a sale is guaranteed, you're going to act like that too. Those are two different ways and could be detrimental to the sale itself. So a misinterpretation of silence might be, hey, I need to think about it. Hey, I'm just busy. You're talking to other business owners at the end of the day. Or you're talking to other busy people because if they're buying high ticket, that means that it's worth it for them. Otherwise, you're talking to the wrong avatar. Unfamiliarity with elongated sales cycles compared to low ticket. That's just a pickup off what we were just talking about. Because if you're not familiar with how long it takes for a sale to happen, that's a higher ticket. Like, it takes me a longer time to think about, hey, a larger offer. If something's $5, I'm like, no problem. If something's $50, I'm like, As soon as something gets past $100 in my book, I'm thinking about it. I'm deciding if it's an investment or not. Am I going to get my $100 back? I could drop $5 and be like, let's see if it was worth it. But $100, I don't know. Anything past two figures, in my opinion, is an investment that you need to consider heavier. Cognitive dissonance between self-image and premium identity. Are you the person that does the thing? And does your client think you're the person that does the thing? That's all I'm going to say for that one. And finally, absence of repeated exposure to closing conversations that normalize big numbers. This is actually why I like to study funnels. I like to study people's process of how to get someone from I don't know you to I'm spending hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars on you. This is a very interesting thing. Again, that could go way deeper, but if you don't see sales calls, if you're not exposed to it, then how do you understand how people deal with objections and get to the final sale? All right, cool. Yeah, and I wanted to expound upon this. Of course, I like to continue with the conversation, so I'll give you this little extra nugget. Low ticket sales usually close fast, impulse driven, little deliberation, short time between pitch and payment. New salespeople expect this tempo. High ticket sales involve more steps: discovery, multiple calls, decision committees, legal or financial reviews, Internal budget cycles. All right. That's a beautiful thing to think about, right? Sometimes they literally say, I can't spend this until next quarter, but let's talk in a little bit. You need a way to nurture them and be like, oh, let them never forget about me because it's not the time, but it is soon. Excuse me. The gap between the first contact and the closed deal stretches from days into weeks or months. It's possible. That makes sense. Unfamiliarity creates stress. They misread the people who were talking, the salespeople that we're talking about, would misread delays as rejection, push prematurely for commitment, or lose follow-up discipline without adjusting expectations to longer rhythm. They burn energy and erode trust. Now, this came to me in perfect timing because it is true that I've begun my higher ticket offer. And it's also true that I'm seeing that because it's a higher ticket, it just takes longer to get into the rhythm of what's going on. And that's okay because it's practicing me on the sales cycle. It's helping me understand what objections my business will deal with the most and how to face them. And my final piece is, if you know that you're offering value, then you should know what it costs the person to not have the information or the service that you have. And if you can compare those two and have the person understand, have your client understand have your client understand as the sales process is going on, then the value is going to be obvious in their head. And it becomes less of a sale because they know, like, and trust you, and more like an opportunity to help them. Let me know what you think.